Good evening, and welcome. Tonight, we embark on a journey through a significant chapter in American history, one that has left an indelible mark on the nation's political landscape. Tonight, we're diving deep into a pivotal moment in American history: Donald Trump's 2025 inauguration speech. This event was not just another political ceremony, it was a defining moment that set the tone for the years to come. This wasn't just a speech, it was a declaration, a roadmap for his vision of America's future. Trump's words were carefully chosen to resonate with his supporters and to outline his administration's priorities. Now, regardless of where you stand on the political spectrum, there's no denying the weight of this address. It was a moment that captured the attention of millions, sparking debates and discussions across the nation. It outlined the policies, the promises, and the potential path the nation would take under his leadership. From economic reforms to foreign policy, Trump's speech was a comprehensive overview of his administration's agenda. We're going to break down the key points, analyze their implications, and consider the call to action embedded within his words. Each statement, each promise, and each policy proposal will be scrutinized to understand its potential impact. Over the next few chapters, we'll dissect each key theme, examining the language, the context, and the potential consequences of his proposed actions. We'll look at how these themes align with the broader political landscape and what they mean for the future of the country. This is about understanding the direction the country was being steered in and what it meant for every American. Whether you agreed with his vision or not, it's crucial to comprehend the underlying messages and the potential ramifications. So stay with us as we unpack Donald Trump's vision for America and explore the lasting impact it could have on all of us. We'll delve into the specifics, providing insights and perspectives from various experts and commentators. This is not just about politics, it's about the future of a nation and the lives of its people. As we navigate through this analysis, we'll also consider the historical context and how past events have shaped the present. Understanding the past is key to making sense of the present and anticipating the future. By looking back at previous inaugurations and political milestones, we can draw parallels and contrasts that highlight the uniqueness of Trump's 2025 speech. This historical perspective will provide a richer understanding of the significance of this moment. In today's digital age, the dissemination of political messages has evolved. We'll explore how Trump's speech was received across various media platforms and the role of social media in shaping public opinion. The reactions were swift and varied, reflecting the diverse perspectives of the American populace. From enthusiastic support to vehement opposition, the speech elicited a wide range of responses. These reactions are a testament to the speech's impact and the deep-seated divisions within the country. By examining these responses, we can gain a deeper understanding of the current political climate and the challenges ahead. Join us as we embark on this comprehensive analysis, shedding light on the intricacies of Donald Trump's 2025 inauguration speech and its far-reaching implications. This is more than just a political analysis. It's a journey through the heart of America's democratic process and the forces that shape it. From the outset, President Trump struck a chord of unity, appealing to a nation often perceived as divided. He called for Americans to come together, to bridge the divides that had seemingly grown wider in the preceding years. His words, imbued with a sense of urgency, emphasized the need to prioritize shared values and national identity over partisan differences. This wasn't just about political rhetoric, it was about reigniting a sense of collective purpose, of shared destiny. The question, of course, was whether this message of unity would resonate beyond the audience present at the inauguration. Woven intricately with the theme of unity was a potent call to patriotism. This call was not just a fleeting sentiment but a deeply ingrained part of the American psyche, a thread that has been woven through the fabric of the nation since its inception. Patriotism in this context was presented as a unifying force, a way to bring together a diverse population under a single banner. It was a reminder of the shared values and ideals that have historically defined the American experience. President Trump invoked the spirit of American exceptionalism, reminding his audience of the nation's historical triumphs and its unique place on the world stage. He spoke of the Founding Fathers, the sacrifices made during the Revolutionary War, and the enduring legacy of freedom and democracy. This narrative was designed to evoke a sense of pride and belonging, to remind Americans of their country's storied past and its potential for a bright future. The imagery of historical landmarks and significant events served to reinforce this message, creating a powerful visual connection to the nation's heritage. He spoke of American strength, resilience, and unwavering commitment to freedom, both within its borders and across the globe. The military parades and scenes of American cities and landscapes were not just about showcasing power and prosperity. They were about illustrating the nation's capacity to overcome challenges and emerge stronger. This portrayal of American might was intended to inspire confidence and a sense of security among the populace, reinforcing the idea that the United States is a beacon of hope and liberty in an often tumultuous world. This appeal to patriotism wasn't merely symbolic. It was a strategic tool designed to galvanize the population around a shared sense of national pride. By highlighting the commonalities that bind Americans together, President Trump aimed to create a sense of solidarity and collective purpose. The images of crowds waving flags and participating in patriotic events were emblematic of this effort, showcasing a nation united in its love for country and its commitment to the principles of freedom and justice. By tapping into this deep-seated sense of patriotism, President Trump aimed to foster a renewed sense of national unity, urging Americans to rally behind the flag and their shared identity. This call to unity was particularly significant in a time of division and uncertainty, offering a vision of a cohesive and harmonious society. The diverse group of people united under the American flag symbolized the idea that, despite differences in background, race, or belief, there is a common thread that connects all Americans. But would this message resonate with all Americans, or would it further alienate those who felt marginalized or excluded from this vision of national identity? The mixed reactions of people to the speech highlighted the complexities of this issue. While some were inspired and moved by the call to patriotism, others felt disconnected or even antagonized by it. This dichotomy underscored the challenges of fostering a truly inclusive sense of national identity, one that embraces all citizens and acknowledges their unique contributions to the American story. The question remains, can a call to patriotism bridge the divides, or will it deepen them? The challenge, as with any call for unity, lay in its execution. Could President Trump, known for his divisive rhetoric, truly bring a fractured nation together? His supporters, energized by his victory, seemed ready to embrace his vision. However, for many Americans, skepticism remained. They had witnessed the deepening of political divisions, the rise of animosity and mistrust. The question lingered: could words alone heal these wounds? The answer, as always, was complex. While a call for unity held inherent appeal, the path to achieving it remained fraught with obstacles. The success or failure of this endeavor would depend not just on President Trump's words, but on the willingness of all Americans to engage in a genuine and perhaps uncomfortable dialogue about their shared future. Central to President Trump's inauguration speech was a recurring theme: returning power to the American people. This resonated with his base, who saw him as a champion against what they perceived as an overreaching government and a political elite disconnected from their concerns. The promise was clear: to dismantle the so-called deep state, to cut regulations that stifled businesses and individuals, and to restore a sense of agency to the average citizen. This message, infused with populism, tapped into a deep-seated yearning for control, for a government that truly represented the will of the people. But what did returning power to the people actually mean in practical terms? To achieve this transfer of power, President Trump outlined a two-pronged approach: decentralization and deregulation. He pledged to reduce the size and scope of the federal government, shifting power back to the states and empowering local communities to govern themselves. On the economic front, he promised to slash regulations that he argued were stifling innovation and hindering job creation. This, he argued, would unleash the entrepreneurial spirit of the American people and revitalize the economy. The question remained: would this approach, lead to a more efficient and responsive government, or would it exacerbate existing inequalities and leave vulnerable populations without adequate support? Underpinning this promise of empowerment was a call for accountability. President Trump argued that by returning power to the people, he was also making the government more accountable to its citizens. This resonated with those who felt ignored or marginalized by the political establishment. He promised to drain the swamp, to root out corruption and self-dealing, and to ensure that the government served the interests of the people, not special interests. This message, delivered with his trademark bluntness, struck a chord with his supporters, who yearned for a leader willing to challenge the status quo. However, critics argued that this focus on accountability often veered into an attack on democratic institutions and norms. They questioned whether his actions would truly empower the people or ultimately consolidate his own power. The former president often spoke about the state of our nation's infrastructure. Roads and bridges crumbling, airports stuck in the last century. It was a key theme in his campaign, and again in his inauguration speech. He argued that a nation as powerful and prosperous as the United States shouldn't be struggling with outdated and inefficient infrastructure. He painted a picture of a nation falling behind, its potential hampered by neglect. But this wasn't just about fixing roads and bridges. The president framed this infrastructure overhaul as an engine for economic growth. He promised to create millions of jobs, putting Americans back to work rebuilding their own country. He spoke directly to blue-collar workers, many of whom felt left behind by globalization and technological advancements. He promised them good-paying jobs, a chance to learn new skills, and a brighter future for themselves and their families. This message resonated deeply in industrial heartlands across the country. Of course, such an ambitious plan wouldn't come cheap. The president didn't shy away from the cost, but insisted it was an investment in America's future. He argued that the economic benefits of a modern infrastructure would far outweigh the initial expense. He proposed a combination of public and private funding, tax incentives for businesses, and cuts to what he called wasteful spending in other areas. The specifics, however, remained vague, leaving many to wonder how exactly this massive project would be funded. From the very beginning of his campaign, the president made protecting American jobs a central theme. He argued that unfair trade deals and globalization had shipped American jobs overseas, hollowing out the middle class. He promised to renegotiate trade deals, impose tariffs on goods from countries he deemed unfair competitors, and bring manufacturing jobs back to the United States. His message resonated with many Americans, particularly in industrial states hit hard by factory closures. He used strong, often confrontational language, promising to get tough on China and other countries he accused of manipulating their currencies and stealing American jobs. His inauguration speech doubled down on this promise to protect American workers. He pledged to create an environment where American businesses could thrive and create jobs. He spoke of tariffs as a tool to protect American industries from what he called predatory trade practices. He argued that previous administrations had been too willing to make concessions in trade deals, putting the interests of other countries ahead of American workers. He promised a more assertive approach, one that would put America first and bring back jobs that had been lost. This message, however, was not without its critics. The president's focus on protecting American jobs was a defining feature of his presidency. He followed through on his promises, imposing tariffs on goods from China and other countries. He renegotiated trade deals, often using a combination of threats and incentives to secure concessions. These actions had a significant impact on the global economy, sparking trade disputes and raising prices for consumers. While some industries and workers benefited from these policies, others were negatively impacted. The world inherited by the president was one of immense complexity and volatility. From rising tensions in the South China Sea to the persistent threat of terrorism, the global landscape was fraught with challenges. He argued that the previous administration had been weak on national security, allowing adversaries to act with impunity and undermining America's standing in the world. He painted a picture of a world in disorder, with America's enemies emboldened and its allies questioning its resolve. Central to the president's national security doctrine was the concept of peace through strength. He argued that a strong military was the best deterrent against aggression, and that projecting American power abroad was essential to maintaining peace and stability. He proposed a significant increase in defense spending, aimed at modernizing the military, expanding its capabilities, and ensuring its technological edge over rivals. He pledged to rebuild the armed forces, which he argued had been depleted by years of conflict and budget cuts. The president's national security policies had a profound impact on the global stage. His decision to withdraw from international agreements, impose tariffs, and engage in confrontational rhetoric with adversaries sent shockwaves through the international community. His supporters argued that his tough stance was necessary to restore American credibility and deter aggression. They pointed to his efforts to rebuild the military, confront China's economic practices, and take a hard line against Iran as evidence of his commitment to American strength. Critics, however, argued that his policies alienated allies, undermined global stability, and made the world a more dangerous place. The specter of terrorism continues to haunt the global landscape, and President Trump made it unequivocally clear that his administration would take an uncompromising stance against it. He vowed to utilize all instruments of American power, including military might, intelligence gathering, and international cooperation, to dismantle and destroy terrorist networks wherever they may exist. The president's words resonated with a nation that had grown weary of the threat of terrorism, and his commitment to eradicating this scourge was met with both applause and a sense of urgency. Central to President Trump's strategy was the promise to deny safe havens to terrorists and those who support them. He singled out radical Islamic terrorism as a particularly pernicious threat, vowing to work closely with allies in the Middle East and around the world to combat its ideology and disrupt its networks. President Trump's call to action extended beyond the borders of the United States. He challenged other nations to join America in its fight against terrorism, urging them to share intelligence, provide logistical support, and take concrete steps to address the root causes of extremism. This call for international cooperation was a reminder that the fight against terrorism is not a burden that the United States can or should shoulder alone. Recognizing that the United States cannot confront global challenges in isolation, President Trump emphasized the importance of strengthening alliances and building new partnerships. He acknowledged the vital role that allies play in promoting peace and security, and pledged to work closely with them to address shared threats and advance common interests. This commitment to multilateralism represented a shift from some of his campaign rhetoric, which had at times questioned the value of alliances like NATO. While reaffirming America's commitment to its allies, President Trump also stressed the need for fair and reciprocal relationships. He argued that the United States had shouldered a disproportionate share of the burden in many international organizations, and that other countries needed to contribute their fair share. This emphasis on reciprocity reflected Trump's America First philosophy, which prioritized American interests and sought to ensure that the United States was not taken advantage of in its dealings with other countries. President Trump envisioned a world where nations cooperate not only out of necessity, but also out of shared values. He spoke of the importance of promoting freedom, democracy, and human rights around the world, arguing that these values are essential for peace and prosperity. This emphasis on values-based diplomacy resonated with many Americans who believe in the power of American ideals to inspire and uplift people around the world. Education, a cornerstone of American society, took center stage as President Trump outlined his vision for reform. He pledged to empower parents and students by expanding school choice, giving families more control over their children's education. This commitment to school choice, a long-standing conservative priority, aimed to provide parents with alternatives to traditional public schools, particularly in underserved communities. The Affordable Care Act, a signature achievement of the previous administration, faced an uncertain future under President Trump. He reiterated his campaign promise to repeal and replace the law, arguing that it had driven up costs and reduced choices for millions of Americans. President Trump's vision for healthcare reform centered on increasing competition, expanding access to health savings accounts, and allowing insurance companies to sell plans across state lines. Throughout his address, President Trump returned repeatedly to the theme of affordability, particularly in the context of healthcare. He acknowledged the financial burdens that many Americans face, especially when it comes to healthcare costs, and pledged to make healthcare more affordable and accessible. This focus on affordability resonated with many Americans who had seen their healthcare costs rise in recent years. The Constitution, the bedrock of American democracy, took center stage in Trump's address. He spoke of it not just as a legal document, but as a living testament to the enduring values of this nation. He stressed the importance of interpreting the Constitution as it was intended by the Founding Fathers, emphasizing the principles of limited government, individual liberty, and the rule of law. Trump's words resonated with those who believe in a strict interpretation of the Constitution, a view often championed by conservatives. This emphasis on originalism, as it's often called, suggests a commitment to upholding traditional values and resisting what some might call judicial activism. Trump didn't shy away from addressing the delicate balance of power within the government. He acknowledged the vital role of the three branches, the executive, legislative, and judicial, emphasizing the importance of each branch operating within its designated sphere. He stressed the need for cooperation and respect between these branches, even in the face of disagreements. However, he also hinted at potential friction, particularly regarding the judiciary. While acknowledging the importance of an independent judiciary, he reiterated his commitment to appointing judges who interpret the law, not legislate from the bench. This signaled a potential point of contention, particularly with those who hold differing views on judicial philosophy. Trump's speech also touched upon the delicate balance between individual rights and collective responsibilities. He spoke passionately about the freedoms enshrined in the Bill of Rights, emphasizing the importance of protecting free speech, religious liberty, and the right to bear arms. However, he also stressed that with these rights come responsibilities, urging citizens to exercise their rights responsibly and to contribute to the well-being of the nation. This message resonated with many Americans who believe in the importance of both individual liberty and civic duty. It was a call to remember that a strong and free society requires active and engaged citizens who are willing to both exercise their rights and uphold their responsibilities. Trump painted a picture of a resurgent America, an economic powerhouse poised to reclaim its position on the world stage. He spoke of unleashing the entrepreneurial spirit, of creating an environment where businesses could thrive, and of putting American workers first. His message resonated with those who felt left behind by globalization, who yearned for a return to economic dominance. He promised a future where innovation and American ingenuity would drive job creation and economic growth. It was a message of hope, a promise to restore America to its former glory, a beacon to those who felt the American dream slipping away. Trump emphasized the need for energy independence, vowing to unleash America's vast energy resources and break free from dependence on foreign oil. He spoke of tapping into domestic oil, natural gas, and clean coal reserves, while also promoting the development of renewable energy sources. This message resonated with those who saw energy independence as crucial to national security and economic prosperity. He promised to cut regulations that he argued were stifling innovation and hindering job creation in the energy sector. This approach, he argued, would not only lower energy costs for Americans, but also create a surge in high-paying jobs, revitalizing communities, and bolstering the national economy. Trump's speech also emphasized the importance of investing in the future. He spoke of the need to rebuild the nation's infrastructure from roads and bridges to airports and seaports. He also stressed the importance of investing in education and workforce development, ensuring that Americans had the skills they needed to compete in the 21st century economy. He promised to prioritize STEM education, to equip students with the tools to succeed in a rapidly changing technological landscape. This focus on education, he argued, was not just about individual opportunity, but about securing America's future competitiveness on the global stage. That's a wrap on the key points from Donald Trump's inauguration speech. It was a momentous occasion, filled with both anticipation and reflection. The speech, delivered with a sense of gravity and purpose, touched on several core themes that resonate deeply with the American spirit. From unity and patriotism to economic renewal and a commitment to the Constitution, the speech laid out a vision for America's future. It called for a renewed sense of national pride and a collective effort to rebuild and strengthen the nation. The emphasis on unity was particularly poignant, urging Americans to look beyond their differences and work together for the common good. Whether you agreed with every point or not, there's no denying the significance of the moment and the weight of the words spoken. The speech was a reminder of the power of rhetoric and the role it plays in shaping public discourse. It was a call to action, not just for policymakers and leaders, but for every citizen who cares about the future of the country. Remember, each of these points comes with a call to action. It's not enough to simply listen and nod in agreement. True change requires active participation and a willingness to engage with the issues at hand. Whether it's through community service, political activism, or simply being an informed and engaged citizen, everyone has a role to play. It's a call for Americans to come together, to bridge divides, to work towards common goals, and to strive for a brighter future. This vision of unity and collaboration is not just an idealistic dream, but a practical necessity in a world that is increasingly interconnected and interdependent. By working together, we can overcome the challenges that lie ahead and build a better future for all. The success of these initiatives depends not just on the president, but on the active engagement of citizens from all walks of life. It's about taking ownership of our collective destiny and recognizing that we all have a stake in the outcome. Whether it's through voting, volunteering, or simply staying informed, every action counts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insightful content. By staying connected and engaged, you can be part of the ongoing conversation and contribute to the collective effort to shape a better future. Your voice matters, and your actions can make a difference. The conversation continues, and your voice is an important part of it. Let's keep the dialogue going, share our ideas, and work together to create a more inclusive, just, and prosperous society. Every voice adds value, and together we can achieve great things.